Hi everyone, Danny here, and this is the next installment of my video series where I rate every single enemy in Dark Souls. If you're just joining us, this is basically a little series where I encounter every enemy in Dark Souls and then I evaluate them based on their lore and kind of their mechanics, and also how good of a job I think they would do in protecting my son. And then after I consider all of those factors, I bestow upon that enemy a rating, from 1 to 5 stars. So let's get right to it. Okay, so here in this next little bit of the Undead Burg, we're met with a group I like to call the Welcoming Committee. And that's because they've just really laid out the red carpet for you here. This group, you got several enemies. You got several enemies they're trying to hack at you, and while they're trying to hack at you, you also got this crossbow sniper up in their little crow's nest up there, really trying to prick you with those crossbow bolts. Ultimately, though, these three enemies go down pretty easily, and after you weave a serpentine pattern trying to get to this archer, you're able to take the archer down pretty quick. So I'm still going to give these enemies 3 stars out of 5. I think that they did good work, but nothing to push them up to the 4-star level. Next up, we got a duo that I like to call the Die Real Slow Bros. And while they're referred by that name by Miyazaki himself in his kind of secret journals, I like to call them the Die Real Slow Bros because, well, they just die real slow. They're quite defensive. They really enjoy putting those shields up, and it takes a while to find an opening. So, you can take them on one at a time or both of them if you're feeling adventurous. But ultimately, it's a lot of waiting, and while that could prove useful if they're trying to protect my son, I think 2 stars is all they're getting for that. So, next up, we got a little enemy I like to call Jack Torrance. And Jack Torrance is hiding behind some wood, and he scares you with an axe. But, the surprise is only going to get him 1 star. So, up to 2 for Jack Torrance. Now, next up is a group I like to call the Alley Boys. Now, you might remember the singular Alley Boy, and the singular Alley Boy got 1 star. And you might say, well, what happens when you get 4 Alley Boys? Do you add those stars up? Is it 4 stars? Well, no. What you do is you add up each of those scores, and then you divide by 4. So that's 1 star for the Alley Boys. Get good. So next up, we have the Overtime Crew, and I like to call them the Overtime Crew because they're putting in the extra work to defend this little room. You got 2 actual Gimlis and 1 Captain Superfluous guarding the door. They do a decent job of slowing you down, and I kind of imagine, how would that work with someone trying to, harm my son? Would these people be able to protect my son? And probably not, but they would delay that attacker for a little bit, and that counts for something. 2 stars. Next up, the home invasion victim. As you can imagine, this person is not getting very many stars. I want the opposite of this for someone protecting my son. This is going to be 1 star. Just around the corner, we got the Patio Creeper, and the Patio Creeper is kind of scary, and I could see Patio Creeper surprising someone, so that's why I'm going to give Patio Creeper 2 stars. That's got to work sometime, right? Now, up around the corner here, we've got a group I like to call the Merciless 3. The Merciless 3, they really take it to you. You got 2 people hacking at you. You got 1 Zombo, like the member of the Black Bloc over here, throwing Molotovs. They are serious, and while they don't really do much damage, I'm still going to give them 2 stars. It was a valiant effort. Now, up around the corner, if you're familiar with the lore, you know about Ursulus, Ygritte, and Lunaire the Wicked. They are incredibly important to the story of Dark Souls. In Dark Souls, I don't want to spoil anything, so maybe don't listen, but in Dark Souls, kind of the creation mythos, these 3 deities were responsible for kind of the creation of of kind of the lords that ended up defeating the dragons. So they're kind of a big deal in Dark Souls mythos, in the Dark Souls world. And man, the fight is totally indicative of that. Like, hold on, wait 1 second. So I want to back it up real quick here. Look at Egrid's agility, just popping right up. Like, there's no way you can block that, and there's just Molotovs right behind him. So I mean, these enemies are. It's just a real delight to even fight them, to be on the same level as them, to try to overcome them. And I eventually do, and I think it's in no small part to my skills as a player. I mean, these enemies are some of the toughest in the game, and the lore implications of my character being able to overcome them are just huge. So I think that's going to definitely factor into the score. So I got to give Ursulus, Egrid, and Lunaire the Wicked 4 stars out of 5. Really fantastic stuff from these characters. What a pleasure. Now, very different story up this little tower here. We've got the Undead Burgian sniper, and I think that you all know from the first episode of this series how I feel about archers. 1 star. What a complete useless waste of time. Now, down here, we have the Crenellation crew, kind of named after the little environment they like to hang out in. And this fight takes a little while. And I do have to say that while it does take a while, I was never, ever really in danger. I think that, you know, they hit me a few times, but I never got close to dying or anything. So that's going to definitely not help their score. If I want someone to defend my son, I want someone, you know, that can actually put someone in mortal danger in order to defend my son. So ultimately, it's looking like just 3 stars for the Crenellation crew, but they gave it their best shot. Now, this is a really interesting fight. This is a character known as the Black Knight. Now, this fight takes a little bit, so I'm actually going to talk about the lore that I looked up for this enemy. There's a lot of articles on various wikis about the Black Knight and its importance as kind of a Knight of Gwyn, and while that's interesting, I think the more interesting part about the Black Knight is the fact that the Black Knight's actually a time traveler and used to work at kind of an amusement park and has traveled way back in time and is kind of like like a fish out of water type character. And I just love it that this series puts this much work into the lore of these characters. Now, the Black Knight, obviously a very tough opponent, a formidable opponent, you know, not someone that I would be hesitant to protect my son, but ultimately, you know, I killed the knight on my very first try on this character.
Hey there, everybody. Cameron here in the edit. I noticed that this video seemed a little odd, so I looked back at Danny's footage, and it seems like he might have accidentally cut some out, so I've gone back and included it here. Anyway, back to the video.
Jesus. Fuck. Oh, god damn it. What the Jesus Christ. Oh, shit. Oh, come on. What the hell? Yeah, so just 3 stars there, but a very interesting character, and that's kind of going to do it for this section of the Undead Burg. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you want to kind of stay tuned for the future installments of this series. One of my good friends told me that we're about halfway through, so I think we're in for a fun second half of Dark Souls, and let's hope that in the next half we can find an enemy that is 5 stars that would be really great at defending my son. Thanks so much, and I'll see you again next time.